Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining my podcast. This is Omi Inca's production studio coming to you from Oracle Divination Network. And I'd like to welcome each and every one of you and extend you the right hand of fellowship. Yes, Omi is back at it again and bringing you this late night news. And as you know, I have been on the campaign to Bill Cosby is innocent. I certainly believe until they prove him guilty, he is an innocent man. There has been several important people like Bill Cosby and others like myself who have at one time been falsely accused. I don't care if you have to make a journey out of proving your innocence. You must stand up to your innocence. And I understand that because I have had to prevail to make sure every one of my accusers were found to be lying. So I know the feeling of being falsely accused, and I stand with Bill on this because there's several indications that appeal must come forward because there are 30 things, according to Mr. Wyatt and Mrs. Benson, that indicate that there are 30 appealable things that must be addressed for an appeal for Bill. When someone is convicted on misconduct, you must prove beyond a shadow of a doubt misconduct, and you must substantiate it. The burden of proof is on that juror to prove it. But when you have a juror and one of the jury said, come on, let's all make the decision to convict Mr. Cosby so we can all go home. And when language is used on that jury of discrimination, that juror needs to be put off the case. And I said that once before. That case should have been a hung jury if they had no one to replace him. But the only reason I understand that they didn't remove that man from that juror is because they would have had to replace him with a black man. Now, this was what I believe, and concurring it may be another, but they did not want to have to put another black man on there. And what about Robert, the man who dated Mrs. Constant many years ago, who knew her whole family and knew about what she stood for and knew how corrupt she had become? Why wasn't he able to testify? Why was his testimony prevented from being brought to the courtroom? Not to mention that I understand that Miss Constant had talked over with her girlfriend who were viewing a commercial that was talking about date rape, when I understand that she confirmed with her girlfriend that date rape had happened to her too. And her girlfriend urged her, oh, well then you need to do something about that. You need to tell someone. And she said, oh no, it didn't happen to me. I'm just kidding. But I could have said it happened to me. And this is what opened up the gates to this possibility of framing someone. Her girlfriend even knew it. Now, I understand that Bill asked her mother, unbeknown to him that he was being recorded, did she believe that he would rape Constant and give her quaaludes in an effort to seduce her and have sex? And she said, oh no, I don't believe you could do this, Bill. No, Constant just needs to get a job and get on her feet because she's lost her other job. And she just needs to get a job and get an income. That was recorded. However, that tape had been tampered with And Bill had a forensic technician to confirm that that was the authentic tape that was originally taped. And it was confirmed that someone had dubbed over the tape and taken that conversation out. So therefore, that particular tape should not have been entered in as evidence for the case because it was tampered with. But nevertheless, that damaged exhibit was entered into the case and it shouldn't have been. And it was used as evidence. Knowing this, it should have been thrown out and the case should have been dismissed way before it got in too deep. Now, let's go way back. When Constant was awarded a civil settlement of $3.4 million. Now, why did it take her 7 years to come back later and to have her lawyer file charges against Bill? Now, during the first trial, Bill waived his Fifth Amendment in giving a deposition in lieu that the judge would not present any of his deposition ever again in any case, and that it would be sealed, never to be opened. Bill waived his Fifth Amendment. Which individual would ever waive their Fifth Amendment, knowing that this testimony could be used against him? He did not testify that he drugged any of the women for the benefit of having sex. He indicated that he had a relationship outside of his marriage and he had offered some of the women drugs, but he never said he offered them the drugs for the benefit of having sex with them. So he wasn't convicted of offering any Quaaludes, only to be found that it was Benadryl, and it was only a half of a Benadryl, which would have never intoxicated anybody that I know of. So why was this put in the second trial? Why did they unzip the seal and pull information out of the deposition, only those deposition statements that would indict Bill, when it was told by the judge that they would never, ever use any of this deposition? They violated his constitutional rights. And they went back on the word that they would not unseal this document, and they used this document and deposition against Bill. That's another violation. Now, all the while these violations are going on in the courtroom, the jury starts to act up. Let's put this thing to rest and let's all vote to go ahead and convict this man so we can go home to our families. And when the judge asked him, did he say this? He said, I don't know, I might have said it. If the judge wasn't sure and everybody else witnessed him saying it, they should have threw him off the jury and went for the next person in line that could have taken his place, which would have been a black man. Would that have been too right? Would that have been too right for them to do? No. They knew if another black man came on the jury, he would never be convicted. And their decision was to convict him by any means necessary. Folks, this was not a trial against Bill Cosby. It was an inhumane strike against the black race to shut him up, to kill off his legacy so that he would never be known again as the world's greatest father, or he would never even have a legacy to leave behind for us black people. Kill him off quickly, by any means necessary, even if you have to falsify information. Why was this man not given a bail? His constitutional rights again violated. Why could he get a bail and they couldn't post the bail for him? They sent him straight to jail, even though the prosecutor, his counsel asked to be able to bond Bill out. No, go straight to jail. Knowing this man's condition and knowing they didn't have enough evidence, and the judge was not the least bit suspicious of this Constance's background, her mother's background, their capability of doing something like this. When her best friend, who she used to have casual relationship, confessed that the mother was coaching her along and pushing her along to do this because she hated black people. He said this, not me, that she despised black people. And when her first boyfriend left her for another black woman, the mother called her a bimbo because of her hatred for blacks in general. Was this an indictment against black people that her mother waged? Was this an indictment to push Constance into doing this because they hated black folks and wanted to take something away from this comedian because she knew he had money? Well, the courts didn't do a very good job of protecting Bill's constitutional rights. As a matter of fact, they took his constitutional rights away from him. I'm not a judge. I'm not a member of a bar. I'm not a lawyer or a DA, but common sense tells me when something is not right. A lawyer would get up and state what I'm stating, because I've worked with lawyers before and been in the courtroom. And when I hear something wrong, it reservoirs with my spirit. And my spirit tells me this young lady was broke and down on her luck and saw an opportunity when they were out at dinner together. Her mother noticed she was very blasé and depressed, and she asked her what was wrong. Now, this isn't what I said. This is what was quoted in an article. And she mentioned something about Bill. And her mother said, well, come out and give it to us. What is it? What did Bill do? And they coached her into giving a testimony about what Bill had done and asked her to give it to one of their family members who was also with the police force. Now, doesn't it sound kind of strange? She would give the testimony to someone that was in her family, and then they carried it on to give a testimony to the police force. All of this was conspired, and it's going to break loose. It always does, because I've seen it with my own eyes, with people giving false testimonies who were paid. These women were paid to come in there and to act. The government and CBS, they all paid to fly these women in and take care of all their expenses. They were paid actors who were brought in to solidify the deal, to make sure he got convicted. All of these women weren't raped. Bill may have casual relationship with them and dated them over time with consensus, of course. And then when things start changing, when Bill started getting richer, they saw an opportunity and they were let in through the back door by Miss Constance's counsel. And at the same time, Bill's constitutional rights were denied because his Fifth Amendment rights were waived. Bill knowingly, he waived them because he was told that the deposition would be sealed and it would never be used against him. And it was. How could a judge promise something like that and do the contrary? How could he do that? Was he looking at a book deal where he bring down a big comedian and it makes for a good sale of a book? And was the DA involved in this also? All for the benefit of tweeting and putting information out that we're bringing down this big millionaire and we're going to bring him to justice. It was a strike against the black race. To bring him down would stop him from going after any CNB, CBS, or anything else. It would prevent his legacy from going forward. as demonstrating what the father of the world looks like. And because he was black, he could not be depicted as a father of the world. Yes, he had sex with some of those women, and it was consensual, and he was in relationships outside his marriage. But as long as his wife knew about it, and they agreed upon it, and they settled it, it had nothing to do with the world. It had nothing to do with them convicting him of a false charge. And that's what Constance's mother did, urged her on to bring this man down. It was conspired. It was premeditated. And she talked about it to a girlfriend. And she acted upon this premeditation. She should be brought in and tried for perjury. And she should be convicted. And all of the monies that were taken from Bill, the $3.4 million that was given to her in a civil settlement, should be given back to Bill. And the money that was given to his mother, what was that given for? How did he violate her? And how was she in line for a $2 million payment? She should give that back too. And they both should be thrown in jail for conspiring to commit a crime. It's a felony. Now, I know what it's like to be accused falsely. I know what it's like to have to write rebuttals against someone's lies. But I pounded those lies, and and truth buried in the grave will rise up, and truth will rise up for Bill. I know it will rise up. And sometimes it doesn't come with monetary gains, but it's the dignity that you get and you feel inside. Every one of you black people that have been on this radio station reporting against Bill just because you saw the numbers of what made you not do your homework. You got confused about the numbers, and you assumed that it was so many people speaking against Bill that it had to be true, and you didn't do your homework. Shame on you. Every one of you radio station that are talking against Bill, playing a stupid Willie Lynch theory. We cannot tar a black man and let him be put in front of the world for us to make mockery out of. And you went along with it on your terrible radio shows. May your numbers go down. May the black people stop following you, because you did not do your homework, and you convicted Bill right along with those buffoons and liars. And you did not serve him well. You spoke against him just because he tried to ask you to make a difference in this world by pulling your pants up, by wanting to go to school and make something of yourself. Yes, he pointed the finger at you, and I'm going to point the finger at you too. Now point it back at me if you want to. Okay, you got to bring something to get something. And I don't like the way you guys have been standing on the other side with the condemners. Until you know the truth, be neutral. Don't stand on the other side just because you feel like you can get a conviction that you can be proud of. Why are you celebrating? That means our community goes down. That means they convicted him that will convict you too. You know good and damn well that Bill didn't consent to all of those situations there. He did not rape those women. Those women had casual relationships with him over the years, and he confessed that. But he never confessed that he gave them quaaludes for the benefit of sedating them while he had sex with them. Why would he have to when they were already taking gifts from him, going on trips with him, coming to his house, calling his house? Those were relationships. What the hell do you think those were? Bill couldn't have had a relationship by himself. He had to have consensual consent from those women. It just so happened that Constance was the one that broke the Campbell's back, because she lied and out said he gave her drugs for the benefit of having sex. She couldn't get her dates right. She was saying in January, no, it was in March, I don't even remember. If you don't remember, they said, then let's just settle. because you can't substantiate what really happened. And she got her $3 million in a civil case, but she came back 7 years after she became broke and she wanted more money. And then we had the audacity to open up a case against Bill again. She shouldn't have even had the opportunity to come back again because she violated her promise. And you allowed her to come back 7 years again with the case after she had settled outside of court. And now you are trying an innocent man, and you got black people speaking against their own people. Not because he's black. You're speaking against him because you want to get Bill, because you think he was high on the hog and he didn't come down to the hood to do anything for you. He did a lot for you that you don't even know about. He's standing trial right now for you. He is like a Jesus cross being nailed to the cross for each of you black men. And you don't even know it. You got to wake up. You got to wake up. If you want to do anything for your society and your community, you got to start planning and thinking, because this can happen again in your household. And it doesn't have to be a man with money. It could be a layman that's an underclass. If this is how low they're getting by any means necessary to put us in prison and to kill us, then we got to bring out our magic stick. And we got to put our heads together. And we got to set up our own chambers and our own judicial system. We got to try our own people. Stay out of our community. Let us handle our people. If they've done something wrong, let us chastise them. We are the council of elders. And if you're so good and got things going, step to me and tell me you want to be on the council of the elders. Because that's what I'm talking about, solutions. Not just yapping about, yeah, they got Bill, they finally got him, and he been pointing the finger, and he come down to the hood trying to tell us what to do, and he hanging out with them, and he's a bougie, and this. Yes, when you can't make the kind of money Bill makes, you think he's a bougie. But if you ever get up as high as Bill get up, you would want to separate yourself from the hood too. And don't tell me you don't. The main thing we should be doing is putting our heads together to talk about solutions. How do we appeal this mess? How do we overturn this? How do we create a council of elders to stand together to talk about what we're going to do to be proactive instead of always using that old Willie Lynch thing and being reactive? What are you going to do? When you going to start the planning? You're on these airways every day talking about this and that and this and that. I'm going to tell you like Aretha say, child, I ain't got time to be talking to you about this and chatting about that. She was about business. So I'm going to tell you what the Queen of Soul would say. Let's get some respect around here because Bill is due some respect. Quit mowing the brother down. Quit coming on the airways because I'm going to get in your behind every time I hear you on the airways mowing a brother down. Like you have arrived. You haven't arrived yet. We haven't set precedents for all black men. Y'all are all falling into the same category. So you don't understand, by the grace of God, if it goes Bill, there goes you too, right behind him. So let's get real conscious and let's be strategizers and come together and say, hey, we are going to be the chief and not Indians. Being the oldest people on this face of this earth, we are the elders, and we are going to set up a council whether they like it or not. And we're going to hold the council meetings in the churches where we can make it bona fide and have a preacher reside over the jury to make sure they're not out of line. And then we're going to get the truth and nothing but the whole truth. And we're going to swear up on the Bible. And then somebody's going to come get a testimony. And then we're going to have the saints, the spiritual ones, open up the oracles to read whose truth is the real truth, the bucket naked truth. And where does this oracle send us to? Who are the culprits and who are the villain? Is the plaintiff correct in their testimony, or is the defendant correct? So when we come out with our council of elders all standing there in their white robes, not black, white robes, and our elect ABs, and we're looking to the sky for Shango to send his lightning bolt, and then we're looking out into the water for Yahweh to give us the word, and then we are calling on Oshun through the wind through the oceans to ask her. Then we call the wind. Which way do you see this case going? We're going to consult the elders, and the elders are going to call on the Orishas, and then the Orishas is going to call on Romala, because he was there at the inception of all men. And Romala will give us a solution for end times, because he knows the beginning and the end of mankind. Then the real truth will present itself. There'll be no need for this orchestrated jury to come in from outside into our community. There'll be no need for some fake judge who's connected to a relationship that is privy to information that he shouldn't have. These people will be neutral and have no vested interest in the case. And we will not only hear those big cases, but we'll hear each case one by one. There will be no need to bring in the coons or the men in blue to our neighborhoods. We will govern ourselves. We're in the age of Aquarius. We should be governing ourselves anyway. And this is why God is pushing this case forward, to make you start governing your own community. You have the air of Aquarius, the water barrier. You know the truth, and you know how to judge the truth, and you know how to bring about a climate that is cohesively in peace. Why are we letting all these people bring in this chaos into our community, bringing death and beatings and killing? It's our fault. Take our people outside of a boundary, and do not allow the men in blue to come beyond those boundaries. Create our own council of elders and let those people go in to be tried by the council of elders, not some fake judge and jury who has falsified evidence. It's our fault. We should alone put this in writing and presented it and said, this is what we're going to work with in our community. No longer will we have outsiders come in who have no vested interest in us and who will kill us dead in our tracks and have no remorse. We must set up the council of elders. And we must bring every one of those priestess and Inyala days out. No more hiding. No more doing readings in the dark or in the back rooms or in the closets or in the basement. You must come out. Your skill is being commanded and called upon. You're the judge and the jury. And you have the right hand of Ifa. Ifa will reveal to you all things that are unknown. We must bring our magic out. They respect our magic. And they know when they come to us, we have a solution for illness and can diagnose the symptoms and can find a solution to our own problem. But we cannot continue to condemn Bill. He is just a Jesus Christ being put on the cross for the benefit of all of you. When they crucify Bill, they can come after each and every one of you, because they have precedents already set. But it's not going to happen. Bill is going to be arraigned, and they're going to appeal every one of those 30 things that they have diagnosed that went wrong in those cases. Wyatt and Mrs. Benson are hard workers. I'm glad they came out with this information on the local news, where they've talked about what went wrong in those courtrooms. They said Bill is in good state of mind, even though he reported talking to his wife, saying to his wife that they've taken my cane, they've taken my tie and my shoestrings for fear that I might try to do something to myself. And he also, now I'm quoting what this article said, and the article went on to say that Bill spoke to his wife and said, get the checkbook and write a check and hire everyone and anyone that you can that can get me out of here. Do that. And this is what his words were in this article to her. He's desperate. I understand he's already fallen down the steps and he's not getting any preferential treatment and that he might not last in that state. But if enough of us develop our own Bill campaign is innocent and stand out until the cows come home and tell them about our council of elders, tell them we got a new way of doing this, that Bill's case must be overturned and that they don't have to ever worry about us being in a house again. We will separate ourselves from them and they don't have to worry about our shame and our being an imprudent man, that we will govern ourselves, because this is the time and era that we should be governing ourselves. We are the parents. Why are we letting the children govern the parent? We are out of order. They are the children. They should not be chastising the parents. We are the council of elders, and we should present ourselves in that manner and gain our RSVPCT, find out what it means to me, our respect and dignity and equality. Retha didn't leave here spelling out respect for nothing. She got it when she was here. And she wants to leave it in the atmosphere that we must continue to fight for our respect. How can a man be respected when he has everything stripped from him? Bill didn't fight because the ancestors are fighting for him. And when the ancestors fight for you, you can lay low and rest back and know that the ancestors will fight for you. I know what I'm talking about because mine came up out of the grave for me. And they fought 9 hours across the ocean for me. And they prevailed. And I know they showed up because they asked me, who are those people out in the hallway with you? I said, they're nothing but my ancestors. So back off. You have a magic stick. You can wave your wand anytime you want and call your ancestors to your side. And God said he would send a legion of angels to camp around you. You have a special gift. And your magic is one of them. But yet you won't use your magic. You're afraid that they will look at you the wrong way. But your magic was given to you by any means necessary to speak a word of power and to use your clairvoyant ways to turn a situation around. Turn a situation around. Turn a situation. Let's turn it around. And when we turn this situation around, then we can go and help those who can't help themselves. But we're the council of elders now. And I am decreeing it that we have a council of elders. We're not just going to create a Me Too group, or we're not going to just say, Bill's innocent. This is a council of elders. And can't you see the ancestors behind me? The tribe is already with me. We have been gathering unto our own for a while now, and we've already known that this time would come. So the council of elders are with me. And there's nothing they can do to me for assembling these people, because the ancestors will go after them if they touch me and mine. So I'm not afraid, and you shouldn't be either. Quit getting on these airways lying against Bill and lying against your own black people. Shut your mouth. Until you hear from the ancestors, do not speak if you don't have a positive word to say behind Bill. You know there was no conviction there. You know, he never confessed that he tranquilized those women with Quaalude for the benefit of sex. He never said that. He said he offered them drugs, and he did have sex with them, but he never said he forced them into anything. This was consensual. Now let's get it correct. He was never convicted of rape, nor did he confess it. And if you keep saying that, Bill's wife should bring charges against you and anybody else that says that, because it's a lie. And a lie will never rise to the top as long as you put your foot on its neck. A lie will never rise to the top as long as you put your foot on its neck. Now put your foot on the neck of that lie and stop letting it go forward as truth. Do you know, belief does not have to be factual. You can believe something, but it does not have to be factual. When you talk, you must use facts in the courtroom. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you feel. You must have some substantial facts to back up what it is you're stating. And it doesn't have to be based on a belief. But because Constantine's mother hated black people and wanted her daughter to get revenge from black people, she went after Bill. And when she went after Bill, she did not think about all of the other black men that she would be intimidating. She didn't care because there was money involved. And all of these women sought to get money from Bill. And I understand that there's 5 more cases that may not be going anywhere, but they all are in line to get a check. Do you hear me? This is about money. And Bill has enough of it where they think that he will pay them to get off of them. But God is going to repay them with what is needed to be repaying them for. Vengeance is the Lord's. And he's getting ready to pay homage upon a lot of people today. You know why? Because I've sought the elders and I've talked to them about Bill's situation. And I've asked the ancestors to come and to come from Bill's. I went inside of myself and I spoke as far back as I could. And I said, ancestors, you're needed here today. You're needed here today. And I said, we will not stop calling on you until you come here and see about us and see about your son, Bill Cosby. Come to his rescue. And I went as far as I could inside of myself. And I summoned the ancestors and I called them. I said, look, Bill needs you. Please go into the prisons and bail him out. Bill is being bailed out right now, whether or not you know it or not. These people are going to be so afraid of what is potentially is about to come upon them. They're going to free Bill and pay back all the money that was taken and reverse the charges, because the ancestors are going to be on them now, because they've done a disservice to our community, to our black men, and the Me Too movement will be dissolved once and for all, because it was based and predicated on lies. The truth will rise to the top, to the top, to the top. Thus said the Lord. And a lot of you brothers and sisters, I'm telling you right now, get on the bandwagon. Connect with your higher self and realize you are no good to the community unless you are working towards a good cause for all of us. And Bill Cosby should be in that number, because he has done good by many of us as black people and our universities when they took away those fake PhDs, and one of the judges worked towards getting him to reimburse those PhDs. They never stopped to say, here's the money back, Bill, I want to give it back too. Why don't you give those money back, Temple University, Hampton University? Give the money back that Bill gave you. Don't be a stupor. If you think that he cannot wear your robes and cannot wear your distinguished honorary PhD, then give the money back, because you sure don't deserve it if you can't stand with him in an hour and time like this. And I'm saying to every one of you broadcasters, I don't care who you are, black or white, If you're speaking against Bill on your broadcasting, you need to shut it down until you get all the facts together. And if you're not planning on researching all the facts, quit reporting on the news. Get some facts, read some articles, research on your own. Quit putting out heresy, because it will come back to haunt you. Trust me. And Bill's wife right now is writing letters against all this heresy that you've been putting out there. She's a very intelligent young lady, and you must remember that Bill has a traditional educational degree as a PhD. He didn't need those fake, phony PhDs anyway. He has a real PhD, and so does his wife. So they're not dumb people. And you must understand they're very conscious-minded, because they was in the civil rights movement. And don't you know, Bill was one of the best BSers. How you gonna BS a BSer? You got to outdo the BSer. How you gonna BS a BSer who always knew about BSing? You can't outdo a BSer. You can't beat Bill at this. Even though he may look like he's silent and quiet, you don't know what kind of ocean is going on within inside of him, what kind of war he is fighting within inside of himself. When you're quiet and go to yourself, God will fight that outwardly war for you. And God is going to put up his dukes for Bill and go to war, because these liars have to come down, down, down. And it's going to be some trouble, trouble, trouble when they all come tumbling down. And they're just about to do that now, because an appeal is on its way. And whether or not the courts give it or not, God is going to create a major fiasco, and he's going to create a major situation where Shango is going to have to come here. Oh, Batala, the man in all white, is going to have to come here. Ishun, the trickster twins, are going to have to come here. Tahuti and Maya, who were my judges, are going to show up. You're going to see a major catastrophe happening, and they're going to be so shaken with fear that they're going to call off the dogs and call off this falsehood. They're going to repent and call off everything under the appeal and release Bill. Say it ain't so. It's so, because the ancestors said they would watch over their words and perfect them. And they're now on the scene. Listen for them. They will show up. When you push against the prick, they will show up, and we're pushing against the prick. Get on your radio airs and change your mind about your testimony against Bill. And remain neutral and just sit there and be silent and say that we're behind Bill. And keep your mouth closed until you do your homework. When you do your homework, join the Council of Elders. We'll be happy to have you and give you the right hand of fellowship so you can stand with us. This has been the Council of Elders talking to you. Whether you know it or not, I do commune with the ancestors, and I'm very highly favored. I am an ancestor's child, and they do answer the prayers that I have sent up to them, and they do show up. They showed up for me over 20 years ago in the courtrooms of the military. They showed up in the corridors with the majors, the sergeant majors. They showed up with their lawyers, and they asked, who are these people and why are they here? But I didn't have to answer them, because my ancestors showed them better than they can tell them. And they'll show up for Bill too. And don't think that he's been here 80-some years on this earth without communing with his ancestors. He's probably well connected, whether you know it or not. And when you mess with some people that are connected to the ancestors, I just say, woe unto you, because you don't know the damages that the ancestors could do. If you think you can create weather weaponry, watch what Oshun can do. Watch what Yamenye can do. And ain't no telling what Shango would do with this lightning bolt. And don't wait till Obatala decides to stand up and fight, because these are all elements of the earth, and nature is connected very highly to the indigenous people. And the indigenous people must know how to use their magic. You just can't have magic and don't know what to do with it. Use your magic stick because it's there for you. Your tools are there and you must use them. And when your back is against the wall, you must be like the badger. You must come out kicking because the badger will push you against the wall. So you push against the prick and you push forward the ancestors, and the ancestors will show up in your life. You've been a great listening audience, and I hope you could appeal to the Council of Elders. We are now in effect, and we're asking you, step in and get the right hand of fellowship. Thank you for joining us, and we will accept you to be a part of the Council of Elders as long as your heart is right and you believe in spirits and you commune with the ancestors. We're inviting you in. Thank you so much, and do tune in for another segment of Bill is Innocent, and he has not been proven guilty. And those of you who are still citing that he's guilty and still reciting those false documentation, I want you to know that in that particular document that Bill had waived his Fifth Amendments to, in that particular statement, he did not confess to raping anyone under barbiturates or Quaaludes or Benadryl. He merely indicated that he offered them drugs and had had sex with women before. But he did not confess to putting women up under Quaaludes for the benefit of sex. Please get your statement right and quit confessing and passing on heresy, because you can be sued for heresy. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you don't know the truth, then seek out the truth. And if you cannot find it, then find some case law or some articles and quote very vividly what you've read. Thank you so much. I look forward to being a part of you working with the women and men on the Council of Elders. Here's the right hand of fellowship. Come join us. Thank you. Odabo.